into a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy right. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy right.
Welcome to another edition of the Legacy Right Live. I am, as this show is dedicated to the legacy of Jennifer and Kaiser. I am Zachary Kaiser. I am your El Capitan. That's Andrew Joseph. How you doing today, Andrew? Or night, rather.
I work as an exotic dancer and put myself through college. My name was Bubbles. He thought
Yeah,
by
yeah,
Jimmy
how-
Dillon.
How'd that work out for you, Bubbles?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I mean, it got you Secretary of Treasury,
Yeah,
Federal Reserve Chair. There you go. That's all that
we're
matters.
still out.
Good job there, Janet. You've done well for yourself. Pinky clap. So, yeah. You know what? I'm covering your face up because, every Friday before this show, actually, 7 p.m. Eastern, the number one libertarian podcast, whatever. I screwed that up. The number one Liberty podcast in all of Detroit, Buds in Reality. Check him out. Follow him. Make a review. Check them out all over the podcast circuit, wherever you like your podcast. Go to YouTube, go to Rumble every Friday night, 7 p.m. live. Rumble, YouTube, and X. So there you go. I'm alone now. So Andrew keeps on messing. What are you doing? Just because you have the control, I'm about to demote you.
Okay.
You're no longer going to be a co-host just so you don't mess around with things. You're messing around with too much shit. Damn it.
I'm fired.
You're fired. We got to keep it clean. But you know what? I mean, just like DX in their State of the Union address. God damn it.
What are you going to do?
I was going to say, I say, God damn it. You say, well, watch your fucking mouth. You missed the bit, man. Damn it.
I don't.
We
I'm
will
sorry,
no
we're
longer.
on the same page.
Yeah, we're
I
just
just-
not
I
on the
don't-
same page. You're fired.
Don't
I'm
click.
hiring Jack.
Okay.
Jack's gonna be my co-host now.
Sounds good.
We'll talk about Civil War stuff. I'm down with that, actually. Let's bring Jack on one of these days.
Make it a
We'd
silver
probably,
podcast.
yeah, God love Jack, but we'd probably be rambling. We probably would ramble on this podcast for about 6 hours. I love you, Jack, but we would. We'd probably ramble on. We would ramble on for about 4 or 5 hours. So maybe not. Maybe not. So, anyways, Andrew, what things are going down in the streets or on the interwebs these days?
Like
Some
Bitcoin
lots
has
of things.
$1,000.
Yeah, yeah. What does that mean? Honestly, does that mean that it's truly been hijacked and it really is gold? It is digital gold now. Like there's just no utility for it, man. It's just the Bitcoiners, they got their wish. The maximalists got their wish.
Well, we're transcending the
Or
Federal
did they?
Reserve System, but it's pivoting. It's trying to, at least.
Who's pivoting? The Federal Reserve's pivoting to make
The
Bitcoin
International
the new.
Monetary Fund, but they try to, centralize under Bitcoin, but they don't
Yeah, I
seem to
don't think they can.
understand. Yeah, they don't seem to understand by the way that they maneuver themselves in. The higher the price, the more expensive it is to transact, which means that their options are more limited because
Yeah, exactly.
they have political and social pressure that they had to live under. Of they manage a large amount of society with their monetary policies, and there's going to be blowback one way or the other. They're going to need an alternative. So they're basically it's like the old meme goes. It's the rat trap, right? It's poison pill.
Yeah, poison pill, cheese in the trap. I mean, they they had it, and then it just collapsed right on top of them. So we obviously know that for all you Bitcoiners out there, Bitcoin is definitely not going to be your CBDC. There's just no utility device to it. So, and like Andrew said, the more you put into it, the higher that it
The
goes
cost of
up.
transaction.
The cost, yeah, the higher the cost to actually be able to maintain it. So, and we don't want that, right? We don't want
Yeah.
high transaction fees and digital practically digital gold status and no utility. I mean, we're not about that, man. We're here to compete. So,
Digital gold
Federal
is a
Reserve.
marketing.
Hmm. So, like with that, I mean, the Federal Reserve, they're definitely looking for another avenue. So, what that next avenue is, especially with the incoming administration, um, we will see what is in store now that Bitcoin has hit 100,000. Do we see with a Trump campaign?
Well,
That's the question.
I don't think there's anything significant. It's just a byproduct of, the growth of the market. Whatever
That's,
they do is always going to be second fiddle to the
hmm.
escalation of price.
Yeah,
They're
it's
they're
always
react
it's
they're reacting to just the news in general. So
and that's everything. That's everything that's the society and the culture we live in, anyways, anymore, right? We're just so reactionary and counter reactionary that we are moving as fast as we can as news cycles move like light speed levels that we can't catch up. So
yeah,
we'll see if we can catch up. We'll see what's in store. So in the meantime, Gary Gary Gensler is on his way out. Obviously, he retiring. He resigning. Wonder he's going to take whatever cushy job that's waiting for him. That's going to give him his millions, whatever reward he got for all of his shenanigans. Uh, what do you think? Two things that happened actually for Trump appointees within the realm of crypto. One, uh, he appointed his nominee for SEC chair to take Gensler's place. What is it? It's Affleck, something like, yeah, I think is his surname. And then another one is, and I only just basically briefed through it, but he has a crypto. Trump is going to be. He named a crypto czar.
Yeah.
Why do we need a crypto czar?
Well, there's a certain percentage of the population who feel that because they have, hey, William, what's going on? They feel like because there's still that draw of power from the legacy governance that they
Mhm.
can influence the way that the crypto market in the long term is going to operate and bend to their particular need of how things are gonna go. But there's a lot of people all around the world with that same mindset, and you can't. It doesn't scale it like that, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's going to be the most significant people who are involved in this in the way it scales are the software developers. But because it's open source, that always leaves room for more competition and better cryptos implementation. So
We like competition, honestly, because the more competition that grows, there's always the likelihood of another tangible piece of utility that can effectively scale. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not the brightest man when it comes to crypto, but that's why we have Andrew here. So, he's been on this game for a long while. So, give yourself a pat on the back, Andrew. You've been following this, or smack yourself in the face. But I mean, it's just it is a good thing that it's out in the open, I guess. But at the same time, it can be a tremendous uh, negative effect because we don't know where it's going from here when it comes to the regulators and what their heads are thinking. Like what is what I don't even know what how I don't even I'm tired.
the regulars think that they have an edge because of their position in society, but they're only
Yeah.
as good as the information they have, and the information they have is always out of date because it takes a long
Hmm.
time for research for them to get to that particular point in time and that conclusion. So, thank you, William. I'll be
Crypto
feeling
talk
better.
is oh yes, yeah, hopefully you are feeling better. The great feast of coronation day. So
A good emperor.
William in the chat is the emperor of den.social. So let's go ahead and plug it, Andrew. For a decentralized and
Social
better
networking.
social network without the anxiety of bullshit, and you get a chance to actually rate everybody and get the better people, get everybody with better takes up above. Den.social. So here, geo.
All
This is what you can discuss this in Den.social. Geopolitics, crypto, conspiracy, science, everything. So yeah, and you can earn a passive income in crypto. So and ownership lot. And I mean, you have ability to be able to do that as well. So it's a great key development, and it just keeps on the the ideas keep on flowing to try to make it better. So that's what we need, in my opinion. Speaking of transitioning away from crypto talk and into the realm of society and social media, since that's a big part of our society, that is what we need. I mean, it's time. I mean, the age of the big centralized platforms, it seems, is dying. Just like the legacy media proved that nobody gives a shit about them. Excuse my language. Try not to cuss here, but you know what? It's the legacy media. The election basically showed that people are done with censorship. So, as William says right here, no censorship. So, I think with all you have you have it in crypto, and you've always had it within the open source networks. But when it comes to even the upfront motion of the internet, um, for social media, I mean, you have more competition than ever if you actually go out and look for it. Besides YouTube, I mean, there's all sorts of different media sites that you can social media sites that are similar to YouTube that you can find. They've always been there, and some of them are starting to creep up more into the mainstream, like say Rumble, right? Um, Even Odyssey to a certain extent. I mean, you got what BitChute. There's a
Library.
number of them. Library, yep. So I mean, there's a number of them, and then of course you have like streaming, and they're mainstream, but you have like the streaming social media platforms like Twitch. And so we're starting to see what what we are kind of missing for what the internet can expand into. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
rather than being controlled, and that's where we need to keep this free thinking, free market mentality in all facets of society along the way. So
Yeah, that's fine.
that is fine, sir.
You
Well,
want to
right,
you want to
wait,
send them a link?
right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, while I do
Yeah.
that,
This sec.
oh, to
Sorry, I was starting
schedule
to
it.
pull the link up. I was gonna send them the link. Just a sec.
I mean, if you want to jump on William right now, you can. We'll send
Okay,
you a link.
schedule.
So,
Scheduling is fine.
but we'll
We'd like
schedule
to have
something.
the Emperor Den social
We
on.
we we need to have the emperor after coronation day on. So, so yeah, we definitely have to do that. Plug away on all sorts of Den social updates and the plans of the emperor. It's a good platform, and it's something that we really do need. So, and
It's a proof concept, right?
proof of work. Yep. So, but with that, Andrew, what other some other big things have actually occurred this week? South
Yeah.
Korea declared martial law and then repealed said martial law within hours. I'm going to give you the floor, good sir, because you know more than this than I.
Well, I mean, I only know as much as news media just told us about it. So, uh, like you said, they declare martial law, and then the next thing you know, everybody in their governing body said, "No, this is not happening," and they backed down. So much for being an engineer.
What is that? So the fact that they actually were able to, they actually did it. They
Yeah.
declared a country that is Western like declared martial law. Um, what does that mean for for the United States?
Well, I think if anything, it's just foreshadowing us to the kind of chaos we're going to experience again for the next 4 years. You know,
Hmm.
whoever they are, you know, I'm not implying anything in specific, but people behind the scenes who did not want this to happen, that being Donald Trump being elected, they're gonna they're gonna find outlets to react peacefully without overt action.
So wait, what you're telling me though is what South Carolina did, or South Carolina might succeed actually when Lindsey Graham
I
is
have a
gone.
history.
South Korea, with what happened with South Korea, are you telling me that the Democrats might do exactly that on January 6th and not certify the election? Are we going to
I
have
guess
another
not.
January 6th?
I suppose not really, but I mean, I can see this as being and a slow march of escalation.
Their PM only had 13% favorable rating by the people.
It was a really close election from what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, and then the reason
I
you
know that
go ahead.
South Korean governance has been moving more and more to the left, trying to integrate with North Korean governance, not directly but indirectly. Like their social policies and everything, they've been, I wouldn't say emulating, but working towards common understanding, common ground.
Are we at a point? Yeah. So are we at a point in today's world where the left is full circle coming back around to the right and bringing us totalitarianism? Because historically, the right has been authoritarian. The left has been liberty-esque, I guess.
Theory.
Horseshoe theory, basically. The whole horseshoe theory is coming true. It's not necessarily a theory. The left was actually over here, and the right was over here, and now the left is here. You know how it works, man.
Yeah.
So kind of just shifts.
I mean, it definitely seems to be that when there's only one body for both sides to occupy, there's always going to be, corruption and infighting. So there needs to be more than one outlet for people to practice their ideas, and that's called polycentric governance, or national divorce.
National divorce, huh?
Yeah.
So speaking of national divorce, Buds in Reality, the latest show just dropped, and he actually had Jason Fry on for his recent episode. That was live at 7. It's live every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Of course, got to say the Eastern. But that was one topic that they discussed. Jason Fry wrote a book about national divorce. That topic that we're going to go ahead and transition to now that you brought it up, Andrew. But Buds in Reality, check it out. So, so you were talking about national divorce. What's your thoughts on national divorce? How do we manage national divorce? Because time.
National divorce is just another, a more modern term for segregation. I mean, everybody gets all upset about, they say segregation, they think immediate racial segregation. That's not what they're talking about. We're talking about ideas, different implementations and frameworks of how to live society, how to live life.
So in other words, go woke, go broke, country go woke, country go broke. So it's time to go our separate ways.
This is what happens when you live in a communal society.
Communal. Exactly what the Constitutional Convention of 1787 created. Communalism. I know lots of people love what the Constitution stands for. I used to be one of those people too until I got into Spooner. Till I read Spooner. Then I got radicalized. I advocate to get into Spooner. I advocate read Benjamin Tucker. I advocate to get into Samuel Konkin. Learn some agorist theory. Some new libertarianism. Some real libertarianism, in my opinion. Because
put some hair on your chest.
Put some hair on your chest. Put some hair on your balls. Put some hair on my chin. I shaved, so unlike Andrew, I like to shave. Andrew likes to look like a mountain man, though.
Well, I did live in Knoxville for a long time.
You should shave the side of your cheeks, and then just try to grow this as a goatee.
Yeah, sounds good.
Either that, or just try to go for if you're gonna grow a beard like this, at least grow it down to here. Be a man.
I'd like to, but I just can't. I have a job.
So I like to, but genetics. I'll finally get some. I'll finally be like my dad and have a beard by the time I'm a beard, probably around yours, around by the time I'm 55. Guess that's yeah. So, but I digress because I we really went off topic. What were we talking about? Oh, national divorce. So national divorce, it's a segregation of ideas and separating one from a culture that you don't mesh with and joining with a culture that you do, right? So the idea is succession of the mind before its actual physical succession. It's nullification. So this goes and Mike Decentralized talks about it, especially in his book, which I actually have right back here, Revival of Common Sense, about town liberation, right? So the idea of township liberation is to localize in a smaller congruent of districts within your community, grow your community, learn your community, and start something, share ideas with everybody, and know whom has who knows what, who can do this and what not, and put all your ideas together in order to nullify the tyranny of the above structure, right? So you want, in order to divorce, we're going to have to nationally divorce on a local level before we even see a state uh, widening breakup. So at least from my perspective, because like I look at history, and we've already tried a so-called national divorce, and that didn't really work out too well. I mean, I mean, South Carolina succeeded, then seven more southern states succeeded, then the North reinforced Fort Sumter, South Carolina. This is just basic history, everybody. I'm not going to go into detail. Reinforced Fort Sumter out in Charleston Harbor. Southern militia groups, I guess you could call it at this point. It wasn't. I guess it was an army. Ended up firing up on Fort Sumter. No real casualties besides one guy that blew himself up during a ceremonial surrender. Um, that's about it. That was the only human casualty, and a horse. A couple horses, I think, died. Um, and then from there, Lincoln got his war, and we go from there. He called for 75,000 volunteers. He ended up getting 120,000 volunteers. Eventually, both sides were, well, actually, the South was the first to conscript, but eventually both sides were forced to use conscription. And we had one of the longest, bloodiest periods of history, and not just the world, not just our country, but probably the world at that time. So how do we stop ourselves from getting into that scenario? Because the federal government made sure that they had an army, so they can make sure we don't break up.
Yeah. Well, just a second.
Reed Spooner.
Yeah.
No treason. Just to start. Then you can go from there, William. So
Just did you want to read what that? Never mind.
I mean, we can wait. Just never
Yeah,
got to reading Spooner. I came to agorism through SEK3. That was after I realized conservative Republican wasn't a solution, then to libertarian, and realized it too wasn't a solution. So he went to real. Yeah, so he found Konkin and found real libertarianism, anarchy.
I just figured for the podcast, people who weren't watching but listening.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine on that. So now reading a little Spooner. Wow, it's like trying to drive a car without gas. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like flying an airplane with one of your engines that gets blown up above the English Channel. It's that real. So, but yeah, read Spooner, everybody. So, but go on, Andrew. So you were. before the
Uh,
before
I lost track of what we were talking about because of the comment.
we were talking
But
about national divorce and what makes this time different. So how do we
oh,
actually divorce? Because the federal
well,
government is prepared. They do have an army,
the
unlike
federal,
the last time.
well, we had safeguards in place, right, for a long time, but they found arguments to remove the safeguards and centralize their power, and that's a big a part of the. It's not like it happens overnight. These work in waves or contractions and concentrations, and eventually you're so overpowered and so indebted that it's impossible for you to make a legitimate argument because they can outspend you, they can outcharge you. Of sorry,
That's good because they can outspend you.
yeah,
So,
and
but how do we
the
divorce?
outcharge
How
crazy.
do you? Oh, go ahead.
Well,
How do we divorce and do it peacefully?
the only way we can divorce and do it peacefully is through decentralized agorism, which is basically, you know, there's different forms of money, and people have to make a choice. Do they want to go with, oh, Bitcoin? It's on Coinbase, or do they want to mine it themselves through Monero, or they want to use Xano or any other Wild Arrow,
Hmm.
Mimblewimble. These are all just different implementations of and competing ideas.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
can use Litecoin, and so
Monero,
the
Dragon
thousands and
Chain,
millions of
hopefully.
people in the world, right? Billions.
Hmm.
So it's kind of hard to regulate everybody when it's a subjective matter.
More decentralization, counter economics, competition, community, knowing your neighbor. That's what you need in order to, so you're no longer, so you're not fighting your neighbor and fighting your brother and turning against your father. You need to get to know them, and you need to actually work with them, and you need to find solutions where you can become more sustainable in your society so that you can break away easily, more peacefully, more better word, more peaceably. Um, but so that you're not a target, because I mean, if you just raise an army, you just say one day, uh, I don't know, let's use. I'm tired of using the same old Texas. Let's say Indiana decides to succeed. They wouldn't. But Indiana decides to succeed tomorrow, and they call in their National Guard, and they put all their units, mobilize them across the border with Ohio and Illinois, um, and Michigan. What does that mean? Well, that's painting a target on your back for the United States to say, oh, okay, well, are you really gonna start an insurrection? Put it down. Ain't happening. So what we need to do is we need to think we need to use that noggin of ours. God gave us a brain for a reason. We need to think, we need to plan, we need to work together, and we need to find solutions by any means necessary. And if by all means it has to be somewhat political and you got to play that game, play it on the local level and break away. Go find a sheriff and run that sheriff that is a staunch Bill of Rights. I'm not even going to say a constitutionalist. I'm going to say Bill of Rights. The hell with the Constitution. That's centralized bullshit. Bill of Rights. All right. Somebody that actually will nullify the tyranny of both the state and its statutory laws and the federal government and its executive authority that continues to expand with the bureaucracy of the intel state. And you go from there. get people in. Try to get people in that are in your local community that will do good work for the community in council. I mean, elect somebody that'll nullify property tax in your assessor's office. I mean, these are the things that you could actually try to work towards in working with campaigning for on a political sense while staying local if you absolutely have to play the political game. Otherwise, I mean, it all starts with you, the individual.
Okay, let me
So,
let me pose a question to you. What about the Department of Government Efficiency? They shut down multiple departments, say fire a large percentage of the federal workforce. They're limiting their power to a certain degree, but how does that affect the long term picture of what you just said?
how does that affect if they're able to shut down, fire, just get rid of all the ilk of the dirty bureaucracy and shut down certain departments, like say the Department of Education? In the long term, I think there could be a long term progress if they actually do what they do and actually succeed and they're for real. You're effectively giving certain agencies that shut down what I mean, as opposed to the Constitution, if you want to utilize that in its realest form and what it's supposed to be, or hopefully what it's supposed to be. Um, Certain things that the federal government and the states can't agree upon in the rule of law automatically goes back to the people. This is the 10th Amendment, the nullification amendment. Thus, in that effect, goes back to the states to govern for the people. So you in that level, I would say that would be a good thing, because if you can actually bring this progress and forward and actually be able to shutter many of these garbage bureaucracies and these departments that we don't need, just gut it all and slim Washington down, even if by a little fraction, it gives certain powers back to the people within their states. Now, will the states be responsible and actually govern for the people, by the people, of the people? I mean, that's to be seen if given that responsibility, because even a state can be just as tyrannical. Look at
Yep.
California, look at New York. So, um, so I think it's baby steps. So if the Doge is for real, then it is baby steps. It is a good thing, and hopefully that is what happens. I don't know if that's going to be the case, and honestly, I think it's a whole bunch of bullcrap. But I'm also an anti-statist, so I don't know. Plus, it's not even a department, right? It's just a little
Yeah.
commission that they're setting up that's going to run for like 18 months. So we'll see. I do like Vivek. Yeah, or is it Vivek or Vivek? I do like Vivek.
Vivek
I, I,
Ramaswamy, I believe.
I believe it's Vivek, like cake.
Oh, okay.
I do like him on certain issues. Obviously, we don't
It,
align the
it,
same. There's going to be a lot to disagree with.
yeah. Well, okay. Let me just put it this way. And yeah, that's right. Better alternatives.
But
Those alternatives people aren't going to always be on the same page. How do you account for that when you're running?
actually, here's William's answer to that. My answer, Andrew, it only delays the inevitable. Doge can't fix DC. Swamp and debt is too deep. So he has a point on that. Uh,
I
I
agree.
I will push back on that and say, if it does work, as I said before, it's a great I like that. I actually like that. It's a great delay. So, and
Yeah.
it does help in the now, and there is great progress that can be forthcoming. But he's exactly right. I mean, we're $36 trillion in debt. The Federal Reserve still exists. There's still a monopoly on the money supply, and the bureaucracy runs deep. And from what we've seen with Trump's appointments, and many of them Israel, pro-Israel shills. I mean, he's just replacing the swamp with his own swamp. So that's beyond the sea. What might happen? So, um, BRICS equals less debt, more gold back, larger population. They do the manufacturing. What do you think about that, Andrew? What do you think?
Well,
Should the
I
United
know
States
India and
join
China
BRICS?
have no. I think India and China, being significant players, they have a long-standing history of conflict. They do not like each other, and that doesn't. What's the yes like what?
Oh, yes, like cake.
Yeah,
Yes, like cake. Yeah.
they
Go
they
on.
have a
But yeah.
long-standing history of conflict, especially on their border, and
Mm,
they've had direct kinetic action before, but
hmm.
they've tried to limit as much as possible. So you have to keep that in mind. And they've got basically the same size population. So it would be, if it didn't go right, it would go extremely violent, extremely quickly, I think.
Yes, it would. And you do. Speaking of that border issue, um, there's a piece like to the north, and then I believe then there's Kashmir. I think there's another border dispute between just India and China, but then you have Kashmir, which is
With Pakistan,
brutally, yeah, divisive and chaotic, violent with Pakistan. But you also have it's a trifecta because there's also a disputed territory in Kashmir with China, which also interferes. So, like, if war with India and Pakistan erupted, it would most definitely leak into the Chinese realm, and China
yeah,
is getting involved. And you have three nuclear powers right there. So, I mean, India and China, maybe BRICS can kind of delay that inevitable uh, consequence to that land dispute and the just the political upheaval um, with at least China and India. But then again, Pakistan and India, they don't like each other either, and that in itself could boil over and erupt into something with China. So that is true. Africa is lining up with BRICS. That actually makes a lot of sense. Russia has oil and minerals, which
yeah.
makes BRICS powerful at this point just because of that. India and China will unite. They will choose BRICS over the West, in my humble opinion. Honestly, maybe. I mean, it all depends. There's still that land dispute circumstance, but honestly, if Pakistan decided to say, "Hey, uh, if BRICS consolidates and solidifies and becomes more of an organized alliance, both monetarily, economically, and militarily, I could certainly see maybe China and India being more unified in business partnership, that militarily they come to each other's aid with the Kashmir issue with Pakistan, and that could actually cause a deterrent for all the chaos that Kashmir is, to kind of be at bay. Sort of like up there in that other peninsula at the 38th parallel, another militarized zone is supposed to do. But is it though? Because North Korea is they're getting around these
Get the
days.
band back together.
they're uh they're using they're using their political know-how, I guess, and their and alliances in South Korea to get people to be more pro-North, and they're lining up to join with Russia and Ukraine, and they actually have boots on the ground in Ukraine. They have had boots on the ground in Ukraine, and of course, that's one reason why Joe Biden said go ahead and let it rip a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So
I do
it's
remember
getting dangerous.
several years ago, North Korean scientists had announced that they were implementing different frameworks from the USSR in their rocket technology. So
Fuck.
Damn.
yeah, we have to get that
Well,
buffer too.
I mean, oh yeah, we got to get that one too. Ron Simmons, right? Old Farouk. Yeah, yeah, I love me some Farouk, man. The old Nation of Domination days.
That's right.
But I digress away from the wrestling. So the world's getting dangerous, and with everything that's going on, and with luckily they called off the martial law, but that was more of a political decision. I don't know exactly. You know more details of why they actually went ahead and called off the martial law.
Not in particular, other than the social pressure. I think in a
Just
way, it's just a pressure test to see how far they could push parts of the world and see what they can get away with.
sort of
That's what
like
governments do is they'll
yeah.
act and to see what happens and how people react, so they can push the limits even further the next time out.
Sort of like when the Boston Marathon bombing occurred. When was that? 2015. And Boston went into lockdown, trying
And
to
they were
go on
just
the
going door to
manhunt.
door, and they
Yeah,
didn't even have warrants. They just going to people's
no,
houses left and right.
we call that foreshadowing for COVID-19. Not even gonna say it. I can't
The
say
coup.
it, but yeah, the woofu, the woofu. Yeah, we call that foreshadowing. So, but yeah, it's a pressure test. It's to see if society's prepared to either, I guess, stand up and let it all collapse, and take back their own culture from government tyranny, or allow totalitarianism to completely engulf. So when India flips hard to BRICS, that would be the end of the West. Us Westerners have debt and export Hollywood woke fiat dollars. That's literally all we export. I mean, that's all we
Progressive
export.
bullshit.
And
That's all we've ever implemented was progressive ideas, and we exported
yeah.
them around the world. That's our bread and butter. Always has
hmm
been. Always will
That
be.
is why this protectionist idea of stupid gonna be more of a consumer tax in the highest degree than what tariffs were in the past, which were bare minute. You barely saw them, but we're also taxed on our income. We'll see if Trump sticks by that promise. I doubt it, but you never know. Maybe he's truthful this time. Maybe he's changed. Our tech is slowing. We turn out fewer and fewer engineers out of college. That is very true and sad. China, Russia, and India are hard into math and sciences. You see that with TikTok, and the fact that China's TikTok is very different than the American version of TikTok. It's
Yeah.
all mostly educationally pushed. Math, sciences. I mean, yeah, I mean, chemistry, anything, academic know-how in the real, not academic as in gender studies. Um, our career desires are TikTok. Our career desires are TikTok and YouTube influencer, not engineers.
Just
Exactly.
here, just here long enough to make my millions of dollars and escape the United States.
Exactly. Tariffs will also slow the inevitable. That is true. They will be a good delay, but eventually everything comes everything that's good comes crashing down because I mean you can only go so long and $36 trillion of debt and tax a populace to nothing and devalue a currency and have make nothing and export progressivism. So and I don't see anything changing anytime soon. But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong, Donald Trump. Drain the swamp.
Well, I
Actually
mean, it
drain the
does
swamp.
change. I remember reading, I don't know, 20 years ago about how people back in the 1800s were literally just living in the city, working regular jobs when they were 15. They
Yeah,
didn't live with their families. They were just normal people, and it was a
yeah.
normal thing. There was no, I'm 37, 38, and I still live at home. I remember my great grandpa. I mean, I wasn't there, but just hearing stories about when he was like 12, he was working. He wasn't working hard labor, but he was working on the railroads, helping out. He was earning a
Hmm.
paycheck. It's just
Yeah.
how it was, and
Yep.
these things just change, and they'll go back to that eventually because society will realize we can't afford these luxuries, these ideas. They're just too
Hmm.
expensive. They're not reality.
Yep. Yep. The best quote. I'm gonna butcher it, and so I'm gonna just go ahead and paraphrase it. But the best quote from a video game, actually, Red Dead Redemption, old Dutch Vanderland. We have become so disenchanted to. I'm gonna butcher this quote, but we've become so addicted to our lusts and our greed that we've developed appetites. Eh, That's all society has become, literal appetites. We are not naturally forming within our own realm. We are just, we're on to the next thing. We've become a consumerist society. We have become comfortable, and things are going to get rough. Things are going to get tough because what is the old saying there, Andrew? Weak men.
Hard times, weak men.
Yep. So, and from that, hard times end up creating stronger men, for which create the next time frame of comfortable times. It's a pattern. I mean, that we really aren't ever going to break. That's the one part of history. They say don't repeat history. Don't. We're always going to repeat history, but you can repeat history with variations. So then you're not
History
as
rhymes.
comfortable. You can revise it. You you can revise it as you repeat it. That way we're not comfortable to the point where we're TikTok and YouTube influencers. And that's it.
Nuance.
New. So terrorists will pop the debt bubble and or start a war. I'm thinking the latter. History proves this. Dutch pre-British Empire, then again for the British. Yes, that's actually how the British took over the Dutch East India Company was war. Yes, tariffs inevitably cause war, and in fact, that's what the old the American Civil War was fought over, and why the United States needed to make sure that Great Britain and France and all these other European powers did not meddle in some capacity, not necessarily actually get into the war, but meddle in it and intervene with the South. It's always about tariffs, 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 tariffs. If it wasn't about protectionism, New York City wouldn't have been on the fringes of almost succeeding as a free city so that they could still keep their free trade with the South who had succeeded. They inevitably obviously didn't succeed. The state of Illinois, Lincoln's own state, his own home state, came very close to succeeding. They didn't. They obviously but they came very close to hitting that fringe point and succeeding as well. And then we would be talking about a totally different Confederate States of America, right? Would Illinois have joined the Confederacy if they succeeded?
Oh, probably.
Probably. I mean, why not? Are you really going to go alone?
Yeah.
So, but
you're among friends.
Yeah, you're amongst friends. You got a free state, very racist free state amongst a bunch of slave states. I believe a UFO will land and drain the DC swamp because Trump can't do it.
I believe it when I say it, but that's far.
That is long. That's dead and gone. That was supposed to happen. What is it? December. That was supposed to happen 3 days ago. It did not. I'm kind of pissed. Drop my good night, everybody.
Hey, I'll see you on MySpace.
Good night, William. We will see you on MySpace. But that's the sentence. That's the stint of it, right?
Yeah.
But anything else for you, Andrew? Anything in Andrew's corner to add?
And nope. We're going to be picking up some new content here this coming week. 3 days a week, we're going to be doing short bursts of news. So check us out. That'd be fun to watch. I hope you guys enjoy it.
I hope it's fun. It'll be something different. It won't be this long, inundated hour to hour and a half fiasco that we do. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll try to scoundrel up some news and talk about it. And it's for the people with the short, tiny attention spans that we all have because of social media, myself included, Andrew as well.
You're driving to work. Give it a watch.
Exactly. So give it a watch, or don't give it a watch if you're driving to work.
Well, just
listen.
Yeah.
So but that'll be we're still on the margin of shooting for no more than 15 minutes.
15 to 20.
Yeah.
Just depends
something
on
like that.
Whatever we're talking about.
Yep. So short, sweet, to the point. So that's in the game plan. So other than that, anything else, Andrew, that you would you like to plug?
I appreciate y'all watching us and growing with us. So
yes, thank you all. Yeah, thank you all for growing with us. Thank you all for supporting and listening and dealing with our ignorant asses. So thank you so much. And one more plug, man. Buds in Reality, every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, the #1 podcast in all of Detroit, comes on before us. He's the game. He's game time. We're just post-game analysis. So right. Buds in Reality. That's right. So with that, Andrew, you got a hot date tonight with Bubbles, right?
No. Who touched it? TouchTheThermostat.com. All your political themes and shirts and clothes and whatever you feel like, we got it there.
Amen. So yep. So I think it's time to go ahead and actually end on time for once, man. That's amazing. So I am the legacy of Jennifer Ent Kaiser, Zachary Kaiser, Andrew Joseph. Stay and watch the outro of this thing. Hopefully you support. If not, you're supporting by watching. You're supporting by sharing. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.
on Ric Flair. You gotta be able to walk that out and style and profile. Woo!
You really think you're ready for the
You really think you're ready for the Scorpion Deathlock? You think you're ready for a fatal encounter?
This is why they call me the total package. Do you have a pain threshold to withstand the butcher rack? Let's find out.
Hallo, hier ist Alex Wright. Wenn ihr High-Flying Wrestling Action wollt, Spinning Sidekick, Top Turnbuckle Dropkick, dann nehmt mich. Der Sieg ist euch sicher. Versprecht euch.
Oh yeah! Watch the flying elbow drop off the top rope. Not only beat people 1, 2, 3, but I hurt him real bad.
It only takes one of 1,000 holds. I think you're man enough for the challenge.
You better be ready to wrestle, because you know, when you get in the ring with Eddie Guerrero, it's going to be high-flying and exciting.
Hey, anytime you feel froggy, man, I'll slap on the buzz killer, rip your shoulder right out of socket. Wolfpack style! Hey, funky boy. Like there's a choice here? Good God! Pick the man with the plan. Pick DDP.
Hey, all you suckers out there, you wanna play the game? You wanna play with the big boy? Put your feet on the button, cause when you go down 110th Street, it's gonna be on like neck bone, sucker.
This is Booker T from Harlem Heat, hardcore OG brother from 110th Street. The minute you punks got the guts to step up to the plate, push the plate.
Yo, Chico, you selected Scott Hall? Get ready for a wild ride on the outside. Hey there! How'd you like to get power pop? Come on, pick me. I'm begging you, pick me. Please pick me.
You think you got the courage to step in the ring? I think you're gonna wind up in a snap neck with a choke slam.
Technical wrestler, high flyer, brawler. It don't matter what you consider yourself to be. When you're in the ring with the crippler, you're a loser.